Well, howdy YouTube family, it's Bolt CRNA coming to you again with another day's topic. So, today I posted something on Instagram. It was a little GIF actually talking about how you can either have good work-life balance, good salary, or good professional development and satisfaction. And you really can't have all three. When you pick your first job, and really in any job, but especially in anesthesia, you're really not going to have all three. You're going to have to pick two of the three. You're going to be lucky to get two of the three. So a lot of that inspired a lot of you guys to message me, and I realized this was a huge topic, and the lifestyle of a CRNA and work-life balance of a CRNA and all these things were big issues to you guys that you wanted to know about. So I thought I would get on here. Let's talk about it a little bit and get into the details. So first, let's talk about these three things. What do they mean exactly? What is work-life balance? Well, work-life balance, especially when it comes to being a CRNA, is being able to go home at a decent hour, being able to go into work, know that you're going to be able to get off at a certain time, hopefully maybe 3 o'clock or 5 p.m. somewhere in there, and you get to go home, you get to be with your family and your kids or whatever, and be able to have a little bit of some free time outside of work where you can plan and go to your CrossFit gym and go to your kids' recital, and you can just be involved in normal life that is not just the hospital. It also means that you don't have to work weekends a lot of times. If you're looking for that optimum work-life balance, or really just life balance, not so much work, you're looking for, no late nights, you're looking for no weekend work, you're usually looking for no call positions. Those are your ideal, what's called lifestyle positions. No holidays. Those are great because that means you get all of your free time and you get all of that valuable time on the weekends and nights and holidays to spend with your family and do whatever you want, and you don't have to be tied to work. And you're not on call, so it means when you're scheduled to leave at 3, you're going to leave at 3. You don't have to stay late until your cases are all done, or if emergencies come up, you have to stay late. So that's what people really love about anesthesia. One of the reasons is there are positions out there where you can do that. You can work in a pretty big group if you want, and there'll be relief people who come in and take over at 3 p.m. for you and make sure you get to go home, and you get that kind of really nice balance with your work and life, and you get to enjoy life a little bit. So point number 2 is salary. So you're trying to get salary. You're asking, what is a good salary for a CRNA? Well, the market defines that. The market's always going to define what your salary should be, what a good salary for a CRNA is. The AANA released data last year that said the average salary for a CRNA was like $183,000 a year. So say that's your average. You would expect to make that much, but you can definitely make more. There are some positions out there that are $300,000 as a CRNA, and you can go on gasworks.com and find them. And then there are other positions out there you can find on GasWorks that state $140,000, so well below the average. And you ask, why this salary fluctuation? Well, the salary is changed based off of the type of position you're taking and the responsibilities in that position, and also the location of that position. So that goes hand in hand with your work-life balance. So you wanted a really great work-life balance. You wanted to be able to go home at 3 p.m. every day, no call, no weekends, no extra shifts or anything like that. Well, that usually means the pay goes down. You don't usually get the high pay and the high work-life balance. Those usually work opposite of each other. You want really high pay, you're going to have less work-life balance because you're probably working more. You want really high work-life balance, your pay goes down. Now, there are some positions out there that will have a pretty good work-life balance and a pretty reasonable, if not high, salary. And then you wonder why, which brings me to my third point. Third point. So this is more professional enrichment, professional satisfaction. I know a lot of you guys are in nursing school or hoping to go to nursing school, or maybe working as a nurse hoping to be a CRNA. And to you, professional satisfaction is probably not that big of a deal. You probably look at it and say, as long as I get paid and go home early at a good time, that's all I want. Well, that's understandable at the level of your career and education that you're currently at. But there is something to be said for when you continue to go on to school more and more and more, and you've invested years of your time and energy and education into becoming a healthcare provider and an anesthesia provider particularly. Once you get done with your doctorate in anesthesia, you have a different idea on what's important to you as far as professional enrichment and professional satisfaction. You went through all of this hard work and did all these things so that you could be a healthcare provider and someone that enjoys your day-to-day life and enjoys your job and practices to the full extent of your training and abilities and feels like you're able to deliver all the anesthetic care and training that you know how to do to your patients, and that you're not being restricted in any kind of way or being told that you're unable to perform certain duties that you enjoy doing for your patients, but you're being told you can't. The best way that I could maybe describe this to RNs and stuff is like, say you took this really good ICU position, but they told you in the ICU that you're not allowed to start IVs, you're not allowed to push IV medications or start IV drips. Someone else would have to come in and do that for you. And maybe you're not allowed to do the first admission assessment of your first admission into the unit for the day or whatever. You can't do that. Someone else has to come in and do it for you, and you have to wait for them to come and do it. So in one element, you're like, hey, that's sweet because that means I have to do less work. The flip side of that means that you want to put in an IV for your patient, you know they need it, but you can't do that because you're being told you can't do that, even though you know you can do it, but you're not allowed to do it. You have to wait until someone else shows up to do it for you. So yeah, that can, as you continue on in your education, that part of your professional development and autonomy is very important for your professional satisfaction, and for you to be able to go to work every day and say, I enjoy what I do, I feel fulfilled professionally, I feel respected, I feel like I am performing everything that I was taught and trained to do, and I'm doing everything that I can for my patients that I know how to do and that I'm licensed to do, and I'm able to be a full service anesthesia provider for my patients. So that becomes important, and I know a lot of you may not realize it now, but it will as you go along farther in your training and education, because you will have put so much energy and time and effort into learning those things and to being able to do those things. And so when you get out, you don't want someone else telling you that you just can't do them. So that's the third tier. So you've got your work-life balance, which I also include location in that category. So like living in a metro area that's got fun things to do in your free time versus living in a very distant out rural place with no airport and nothing but a Walmart and a McDonald's and stuff. That's what I include in work-life balance, that whole equation there, because when you get out of work and you get home to go, you go home early from work at 3 p.m. and there's nothing to do but a McDonald's and a Walmart, that's not much fun. You can maybe figure out something to do, but I think a lot of people would include that in work-life balance. So you've got that category. Then you've got salary, which is important to pay off student loans. Another key element to think of with your salary is when you get out of school, whatever you're planning on making, say it's $200,000 a year, go ahead and deduct about $60,000 probably from that. And that's how much you're actually going to net after the taxes are taken out and your check is deposited in your bank account. That's how much you're going to make. That's not including 401ks amounts that you're going to remove from the check, or dental insurance or health insurance or whatever else, HSAs or whatever that you're going to have deducted from your salary. That all on top of it will be taken out. But you can just say taxes in general is going to probably be about $60,000. If say you make $200,000, it's probably about $60,000, maybe $70,000 if you live in California like me. So realize that you're actually not going to net anywhere near what your actual salary is going to be. So realize that, and then also realize when you come out of school with your doctorate in anesthesia, most students are somewhere around $200,000 in debt, with student loan debt and the cost of living debt from 3 years of having to live without being able to work. And then the accruing interest that keeps building from the moment you took out the loans years ago when you first started the program. So all of this builds up. It's somewhere around $200,000 for most people. So realize when you get out, you're going to have all of that you have to pay back. And you're also going to have a lot less money than what you're thinking your salary is going to be because of taxes. And then realize you're also going to have all of these wants. Suddenly you're going to be making money for the first time, and you're going to have this desire to buy things and to have a nice car for the first time in many years, and to maybe move into a nice house, or maybe get married, or maybe go on a nice fancy vacation to Cabo or something like that. You're going to have these desires to do these things. So when you're thinking about salary and you're saying, oh, salary's not that important, that'll be the thing that I deduct down, and I get professional satisfaction up here, and I get a good work-life balance, but I will sacrifice my salary, and that'll be so I'll take these two and deduct salary. Well, remember, you are going to have a lot of these expenses, student loan debt. Your student loan company is going to be knocking on your door a week after graduation saying, hey, you got $200,000 to pay us. When's your first paycheck coming in? And sometimes, I actually got letters saying, you owe me a couple $1,000s for this month's payment before I even received my first paycheck at work yet. So they're on the ball, ready to get that payment plan going. And if you just make little minimal payments, the interest alone will keep accruing, and you will just snowball in debt. Like, you will not be able to get out of debt with just your little minimal payments that you're hoping to try and make on it. So you're going to have to pour a bunch of money into that and hopefully get all that student loans paid off right away. So keep that in mind when you're saying, oh, I'll sacrifice or compromise my salary. There's very important elements to that you should remember. You shouldn't really look to sacrifice your salary right out of school. Most likely what will happen is people will sacrifice work-life balance. You will work more. You'll work 55, 60 hours a week. You will take call. You will have to work some weekends. You will, stay later than you wanted to stay certain days. Those are not fun things to do, but it's an important part of being right out of school and needing to pay back student loans. And I know it stinks because, trust me, you've worked 80 hours a week for the last 3 years in school and sacrificed all your free time, and you're finally out of school and you finally can say, hey, I want to take it easy and I just want to relax and I want to spend time with my family. And now you're thinking, now I got to work 60 hours a week at work. That's not fair either. So my recommendation is compromise. Don't do 60 hours a week. Try and do 45 or 50 hours a week. Maybe you could sacrifice professional satisfaction a little bit. Not 100%. I'm not saying, just totally give up all your rights as a provider and be miserable at your job because you're, not respected and you're not allowed to perform 80% of your training. But you can give up a little bit. What a lot of people give up is peripheral nerve blocks and maybe central line insertion. That's what a lot of practices will ask you to compromise on. And as a new grad, it maybe isn't your ideal option to give up those two skills. But if you get a really good salary and you like the job otherwise, and you feel well respected and like you have a good amount of autonomy with your position besides those two aspects, then that's decent. That's a decent mix, and you can always do per diem somewhere else where you can perform peripheral nerve blocks and central lines and keep your skills up that way. So it's not like this one job means you'll never again perform all your skills, to the full practice authority that you have. Well, all right, guys, I hope that explains things for you, that as a new CRNA, there is important things to make a decision about when you're trying to decide on your job. You're trying to figure out whether you're going to go for the work-life balance and location where you like to live, or you want to do salary, high salary or low salary, or you want to have really good autonomy and professional fulfillment in your job every day. So you're going to have to compromise. Usually people can get 2 of the 3 down pretty good. Maybe if you're really smart, you can find a job that's like 2.5 of the 3 you can nail down. But you're always going to have to compromise a little bit. So just keep that in mind. That's the life of anesthesia and being a CRNA, and really any other job too. You're always going to sacrifice one of those 3 things. So what do you guys think about it? What do you think you're willing to compromise on? Well, all right, hit me up in the comments below. Let me know. You can follow me over on Instagram, of course. It's BoltCRNA. I try and post daily, either stories or a picture or something over there, so you guys can kind of keep up with the daily life of what it's like for me being a CRNA and new out of school and stuff. But anyway, that is Bolt out.